you. I'm Janet Crowell, and I'm the Vice President of Resident Council. And if you're new to the village, or actually not new, but if this is your first time attending a Resident Council meeting in person, we would be wanting to welcome you and hope that you would raise your hand and let us know that this is the first time for you to attend Resident Council. Oh, I see a hand. Oh, I see another one. Yay! If you would tell us your name. Sue Berg. And where did you move from?
1044 Southwest 8th Street, behind the Hy-Vee and the bank and hardware store. Three cottages.
Oh, not too far. And where do you live in the village?
I live on the third floor of H.
Third floor of H. And how long have you lived here?
1 year yesterday.
Yay! Well, welcome. Saw another hand. And your name, please?
Deb Jones, and we moved in a month ago to the first floor of the C building. We're waiting for Meadows 2.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Anyone else back here before? Any other hands? First time? All right, well, you make my job easy. Okay, next, the other microphone. So we're going to have some updates from Anthony Colombato. No? Oh, you're standing in for him. Okay. This is we're just switching roles. This is Dan Rixroth.
Sorry to disappoint you. I know I'm a poor substitute for Anthony, but Anthony, thanks. I actually was supposed to be taking vacation time today, and I decided I'd much rather be at Resident Council meeting than riding my bicycle on this beautiful fall day with my bicycle buddies. But anyway, I have been gone a couple of times, and last week I was at a meeting in Chicago with our Caring Communities Insurance Company, and so I don't know if any of you have traveled lately, but after being gone for 2 or 3 days last week, I said, I don't want to be gone this week, so I decided just to stay home. So Anthony, thanks for going to be pitching in for me and allowing me to come back. So anyway, I'm here. So got a handful of things to let you know about today, some of which hopefully you already know about, but I want to make a pitch for September 27th in the Pavilion. We're going to have Aging in Place workshop, and I think probably, is there anyone here that's not aging? Okay, so yeah, no matter how old you are, every day is, what I hear the quote is, today's the youngest you'll ever be. And so we're all aging, and I think we want to age in place. That's a good thing. We want to age where we're at home and as healthy as possible. So that's what this is designed for, September 27th at the Pavilion from 9 to 3. Here are some of the highlights. Anthony's called it kind of a one-stop shopping for all of your healthcare needs. So it is going to include flu shots. So that would be a good thing for you to come for the flu shot. And then we're also going to have about a half a dozen other really great opportunities for you. One is to be assessed on the VirtueSense balance machine. As you get older, one of the more difficult things is to maintain your balance. So I think every 6 months you can have a balance assessment. And even if you don't have a problem now, they can evaluate you, they can evaluate your gait, they can give you some tips. I went through the assessment, and they told me a couple of things that I could improve on with my gait. And so, you know, got to lift your feet higher, right? Got to take longer steps. Can't lean to the left or to the right. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So I'm not the therapist, but VirtueSense, that's a great service that the village has. The wellness clinic, some of you may be aware, some of you may not be aware that we've got a fairly robust wellness clinic here that you can have a lot of services. Many of those services are free for residents, and so you can tap into the wellness clinic, learn more about that, learn more about Village Home Health, have your blood pressure checked, learn more about Village Helpers, which is in-home care or in-home services. And sometimes people don't need care, but they like a service like light housekeeping or grocery shopping, transportation, all of those kind of things, scheduling doctor's appointments. Our Village Helpers do all kinds of things that are convenience as well as healthcare related. So that's a good service to tap into. You can learn more about that. And then our outpatient therapy, which is growing by leaps and bounds. I think it's doubled in size just in the last year. And so outpatient therapy, you can learn more about that. They can help with things like joint or back pain. I want to know if there's anybody in the room that doesn't suffer from one of these things, me included. Joint and back pain, knee or shoulder surgery, arthritis, any other issues with pain or mobility. So there's lots of things that outpatient therapy can work on. So anyway, come on September 27th, get your flu shot, check those other opportunities to learn. The dial-a-ride will be operating. So Anthony tells me that probably at 9 a.m. will be the most busy, so you might want to come a little bit later. Second thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Many of you probably heard of Michael J. Fox, a famous actor, suffers from Parkinson's. His foundation has now partnered, I'm proud to say, we're the very first partnership, senior living retirement community Michael J. Fox is partnering with, and there's a study that's going to kick off that is eligible anybody 60 years of age or older, and they're going to be doing research studies, and they're also going to look to find ways to prevent and treat Parkinson's. So the study is going to be great, and I think there's going to be ongoing relationships and connection. So that's a very wonderful thing. They hope to replicate this in retirement communities across the country, but we're the pioneer and the first in line with, we've got some connections at the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and that's why we're at the ground floor. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Another thing is we're going to be doing another event in the pavilion. It is, I didn't write the date down. Les Norman is coming? I think it's 20th? September 20th, is that verified? Okay, September 20th. And if you can come, there's two sessions. One is from 9 to 10, and the other is from 2 to 3. Those of you who are Royals fans, Les Norman was a former Royals player, but after his baseball career, he turned into a speaker, kind of motivational, inspirational speaker, and his topic is going to be living your legacy. So I think that'd probably be good for all of you, particularly if you have kids, grandkids, people who you'd like to leave a legacy for. I'm anxious to hear Les, so that's 20th from 9 to 10 or from 2 to 3 in the pavilion. We're going to be having the annual report. It's going to come out in the mid-month. I've had a chance to review that, and so you'll be getting a copy of the annual report in the mid-month Voice. And then finally, wow, after many, many months, Peace Parkway. I just roll my eyes because I want to thank you for many of you, your patience, and it's been a long time project, but it is now scheduled, between weather and equipment breakdowns and us not having complete control over subcontractors, which is, I tell you what, a real issue in today's world. They they tell us that September 14th, which is the day after tomorrow, all right, Wednesday, they're going to do the mill work, which means they grind down, it's either a 2 or 4 inch grind down or mill of the street. And then the 15th and 16th, which is Thursday and Friday, they'll put the blacktop down. Eric Scott tells me that they've been working on, because I've had some questions asked about where in the world are people going to park that live on those streets, and they're going to send out a daily e-blast today or tomorrow letting people know, and I think they're going to get as specific as saying, if this is your address, then here is an alternative place to park. Now, you're free to park anywhere else you'd like to, but I think they're going to give more specific directions for people who have a question about where to park. But hopefully that project will get all that work done this week, so next week will be much better. Yeah, Lynn?
And will they do both sides at once or just one strip at a time? Because so many people access stuff like Lilac and Willow and Joy, everybody uses East to
Yeah, you can watch the e-blast, but my understanding is, and I've not talked directly, I tried to call Eric right before this meeting and just didn't connect with him, but my understanding is the entire street is going to be blocked off, so it's not going to be where people can drive back and forth on the street, so I think it's going to be all blocked off, so.
There's going to be a fire lane, and
Okay.
for them to do the work properly, it has to be the whole street.
Yeah.
They're going to do it in sections, but it has to be the whole street blocked off, and that e-blast just came out.
Oh, the e-blast just came out, so Todd has like up to the second information on that, so thanks. All right, well, thank you all. A great crowd today.
Hello, everybody. We're glad to have Dan back. We haven't seen you for a while. Here, I'm sure you've been around. So we're ready to do our committee reports, and we will just start with Joe Chase and go right down the line, please.
Kim Clockengay, Vice President of Finance, reviewed with the Finance Committee the 33-page audit results report for FY22. The audit was completed in mid-July 2022 with findings of a clean audit, covenant ratios confirmed, and one management letter item. That one item was a late process order which resulted in a minor adjustment. The audit firm CLA is a premier auditing firm for Lifetime Communities and performs not only audit services but is also able to provide industry benchmark comparisons. The audit report was presented to the Audit Committee in July and was approved by the Board of Directors in August. Mr. Clockengay then presented the financials for July. In July, there were 15 sales, which is over budget. Year to date, there are 56 sales, which compares to the previous year number of 50. This breaks down to 26 entrance fees and 30 lease. Total move-ins for July were 15, with a year-to-date number of 32, which is 6 below budget, but still higher than last year at this time. Total occupancy increased in July due to improving census in senior living and assisted living. The VCC occupancy remains flat, under budget, and continues to struggle meeting budget due to staffing challenges. Home health admissions increased in July, and early indicators for August show more improvement. Hospice census continues to improve. Both business units improved their operating performance in July, and it is thought that the change in marketing strategy has had a positive impact. EMS runs are on track and exceeding budget with a better than expected operating contribution. During July, revenue exceeded expenses, resulting in an operating contribution of $347,000 favorable to budget. It is driven mainly by lower cost in the area of wages and benefits. Days of cash on hand increased to 212 due to unrealized investment gains and a strong contribution from entrance fees, but is still below target due to net proceeds from entrance fees and performance of the market. Debt service coverage ratio and adjusted net operating margin have recovered nicely in July due to strong entrance fees. Net operating margin was positive at 6.2% over budget. Meadows Phase 2 received 2 more deposits in July and is now 83% sold. Move-in plans have started. There were 20 move-ins forecast for FY23, and it is expected we will exceed that goal. Staffing problems remain a major challenge. Use of staffing agencies is a continuing problem. With success of the CNA certification program, agency utilization is now mostly nurses. The International Nurse Program is no longer supplying new RNs. Most of the wage adjustments for hiring have been spent, with improvement in some areas but not others. Staff turnover rates are high in some departments. Wage compression issues are still out there. There are potential problems looking forward, including a slowdown in real estate activity that could impact entrance fees and inflation's impact on cost. It is unknown what will happen to the stock market, which affects the days of cash on hand. The next committee meeting will be September 28th at 1 p.m. in the Missouri Room.
Hi, can you hear me? Now? Okay. I'm Mary Ann Davis. The Health Service Committee met on August 10th, 2022. I'm 2 years behind. 13 members were present. The Director of Health Services, Anthony Colombato, introduced the guest speaker, Martha Wood, and gave a brief overview of her topic. St. Luke's East Hospital approached John Knox Village about partnering on a pilot program called Hospital at Home. The program enables some patients who need acute level care to receive that care in the home instead of in the hospital. They find this improves outcomes and reduces chances of infection. Martha agreed to be a pretend patient, and she reported on her experience. She explained that hospital at home works best for a well-defined illness and a well-defined treatment plan. To qualify, a patient must be ill enough to be in the hospital or a bed in the emergency room and be stable enough to receive the required care at home. All necessary equipment and medications are delivered to the home. St. Luke's East has contracted with medical home to provide the necessary equipment. They are currently able to accommodate 15 patients and plan to increase that number to 50. Martha described the 3 days she participated in the program. The first day, a representative from Medically Home arrived to monitor the equipment and personnel. 2 EMTs brought boxes of equipment and supplies, including an e-tablet for communication with the doctors and nurses. Vital signs were taken and communicated to the nurse. Martha was able to communicate virtually with the nurse. When it was time for medications, the correct dosage was delivered by paramedics with global medical response. First thing each morning, Martha received a schedule for that date on the tablet. The second day, in addition to the medical personnel, she had visits from Anthony Colombato, Brian Opoco, and Brittany Speaks to see how the system works, and people from St. Luke's East Marketing Department with cameras, lights, and microphones. She had a bunch of people there. No meals were provided. Hospital at home is covered by Medicare and most insurance companies. Anthony was uncertain about whether managed care would cover that. Once a patient is well enough to be discharged from hospital at home, the patients will transition to JKV Home Health. Anthony also mentioned the Aging in Place workshop, which will be in late September at the Pavilion. There will be representatives from all health service departments, including representatives from the fitness department. This year, the workshop will be combined with the fall flu shot clinic, and it will last 6 hours. Anthony then briefly described the Michael J. Fox Foundation wanting to partner with senior living facilities to identify volunteers to participate in clinical trials about prevention and treatment of Parkinson's disease. The next meeting will be on September 14th at 2 o'clock in the boardroom. Thank you.
I'm Martha Wood. You just heard a little about me. The nominating committee, after about a 5-month break, we met on August 2nd. At the end of March 2023, Fran and Janet will have completed their 2-year terms as president and vice president of the resident council. I know that's months away, but there is a lot for this committee to do before that. At the meeting, the committee reviewed the timetables, procedures, and an updated list of those who will be eligible to be nominated. The Village Voice will have much more information in the upcoming months. And I will be happy to answer questions of anyone who has any. Our next meeting will be October 4th.
I'm Carol Jennings, Chair of the Resident Services Committee. We met August 15th, 9:30 in the morning in the boardroom. Brian Opoka, Director of Public Safety, was our guest that day and speaker. Brian began by expressing the need for more EMS personnel. Last year, there were 4,300 ambulance calls. This year, 5,000 are expected. A trial was made of hiring untrained personnel and having them go through the training process while working. Currently, 3 of the 4 hired have completed the training and are moving into the EMS program. Increasing the need for more personnel and equipment is the fact that JKV crew also helps answer calls in the city of Lee Summit. We have also gotten a mental health van, which frees up the need for an ambulance in certain circumstances. One government grant was submitted to fund a new EMS facility, but it was not approved. A question was asked about having the city of Lee Summit help with funding. Brian said the subject had been broached but needed follow-up. A tour of the Emergency Medical Services area was given to the committee members, which emphasized the need for new facilities. Maria reported that the costs for the remodeling of the Villager Salon had been underestimated, and so now the Villager Salon will be remodeled in its current site instead of the Villager store area. The cost of repairing the roof was less than estimated, so those funds have been added to the remodeling budget. The pool locker rooms will also be renovated. There was more comment on the very poor conditions of the emergency medical services area. It was felt that more requests for funding should be made from the city and other businesses, other than just our annual gala. The next meeting will be Monday, September 12th. It was this morning. You'll hear a report on that next month. Thank you.
Do you have a report, Anna Margaret?
Good afternoon. I'm Ann Margaret McGuire. The Marketing Committee met on August the 18th in the Manhattan Room. Mary Beth reported the Sales, Marketing, and Communications Department is almost fully staffed and introduced two new associates, Michelle Bannon and Kathy Brewer. A quick review of last month's apartment tour and seeing that smaller units are a challenge to lease or sell led to a discussion of Meadows 2 and the larger units that are available. As of this date, 46 units have been sold. Steve Clark shared the video he made of the drone tour of construction at Meadows 2. This is an excellent tool for sales to keep out-of-town depositors updated. And also, it was reported that children and relatives of people who are going to buy in are able to get that information, and that's been helpful. Move-ins are expected to begin in November. Overall, the monthly sales activity report is strong. Lead generation report is positive, with an advertising push to create sales early in the year. Gross deposits are positive, with most coming from lease contracts. Only 6 units remain available at Meadows 2. Campus-wide move-ins was strong in July, with 16 versus a goal of 10. Paying units for July totaled 816, short of the 833 goal. September will see 10 move-ins. The meeting adjourned, and the next meeting will be held day after tomorrow on Thursday, the 15th, and if anyone is interested, give me a call, and we'd be glad to have you visit.
Thank you, and thank you to all the committee chairs. As I remind you each time, being on a committee is a great way to learn more about John Knox. I mean, we get good information here, but you can really learn a lot when you're there. We have added a new item on our agenda. The John Knox ambassadors would like to have a few minutes each meeting to give us a word about them. So Diane Demarest, where are you? Oh, okay, Diane, it's your turn.
Thank you, Fran. We appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit of information about the ambassadors. Our ambassadors met September 2nd, and I am so excited and pleased to tell you that after our meeting with Maria Timberlake, which brought us up to date on several items, we did discuss the gala, and the gala is sold out this year. So we will have approximately 500 people attending. Thank you. It's a Born to be Wild, so we're prepared to go have a wild, wonderful time. There are lots and lots of great baskets for the auction, as well as some very unique and interesting items for the live auction. Now, if you have a smartphone and are interested on bidding on any of the auction items, even though you're not in attendance, if you'll just call the foundation office, they will walk through you with this and get you registered. You'll be able to see all the baskets and things on your phones ahead of time, so you can still bid on an auction item. We will not have a meeting in October because we will be having a booth at the annual October craft show. We have a booth there every year with our big banner that says John Knox Foundation. We will be selling nuts again, and as well as dried fruits, and we'd love for you to stop by, buy some of the nice, we have a wonderful variety of nuts and dried fruits this year, so stop by and buy a bag of nuts. They make a great gift. They're great for baking with holidays coming up, or just stop by and say hello to us. We'd love to see you. So this is our October meeting, and then we will meet again November, I believe it's the 8th. It's the first Friday. I'm not positive that date, but it is the first Friday of the month. So thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Okay, before I introduce our speaker, and I'm sure everyone knows him, television audience out there, I heard you, and we are going to follow your suggestion. When people ask questions in the audience, my trusty vice president will bring a microphone. I know our speakers are always good about repeating the question, but people in TV land really wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth, so. Okay, so Todd Hollander, Director of Dining Services, he's going to speak a little bit, and then maybe he'll give you the opportunity for questions. Okay, Todd.
Thank you for the clap. I appreciate that. So I see a lot of familiar faces. A lot of you I saw today over at Lakeside. How many of you, by a quick raise of hands, have been to one of the last 3 food groups, whether it's this month or the big one we had in June, July? Just a few of you? Okay. All right. That kind of will help guide some of my information today on how to share it. I really encourage all of you, especially if you're passionate about food like I am, please show up to the food groups. They happen on the first Thursday and the first Tuesday of the month. Should reverse that. First Tuesday and first Thursday of the month. And the times are in the calendar. Please look at that and attend. They're really important, really informative, and that's really a good opportunity for you to hear about all of the restaurants. And I know a number of you attend all of the food groups, and I had one young lady tell me that she's picked up something new at each one. So please look for those. So I'm going to kind of start and ask a favor of all of you as well. When you're out at all the restaurants, or actually I'll back up a little bit. Who's frustrated with food and food service here at John Knox Village right now? Me too. I am too. And I'm glad that we can laugh about it because we are all in this together. One of the things that I'm going to ask all of you to do is to remember that our staff that is currently here doesn't control the menu prices, doesn't control the hours, has nothing to do with hiring except for the fact that they've given us an opportunity to hire them. And in a lot of instances, this is their first job and we're training them to be in the workforce. Please be kind, and if you see someone not being so kind, please be appropriate and professional and ask that person to be kind. Pull them aside, interfere, do what you need to do. We can't afford to lose any more staff because someone is not considerate or understanding or letting their frustration get the best of them. It happens, okay? If you're frustrated and you're upset, please talk to me. I have broad shoulders. I'm a 52-year-old man, almost 53. I can handle it. I will be transparent and honest with you. Your frustrations, your opinions are all valued, and I want to hear those ideas. Please share them. Going on, I'm doing quite a number of things to try and help our situation here. I want to give you some statistics because that's what I promised to do at the last food group. So we have 65 residents that do not have a dining credit. Okay, that means that those residents have moved in prior to 2009. So we still have 65 residents that don't have any type of dining credit at all. In August, we have 1,026 independent living residents. Okay, 1,026. That's going to be an important number. Coincidentally, that's the same exact number of residents we had in August of 2021. Just coincidentally. Okay? I track all this stuff. I love numbers. We're currently in FY23 because our fiscal year ends in March of '23, okay? So the number I'm going to share for you is FY22 versus FY21, okay? So April of 2021 to March 2022 versus April of 2020 to March of 2021. We did 87,000 more transactions in FY22 than we did in FY21. That's an increase of 7,000 per month or 242 per day. Okay? That's from 2020 to 2021, essentially. FY21 to FY22. Okay? We tracking? Year to date, okay? We have done 138,046 transactions so far year to date, and we're 5 months in. This is at the end of August. Okay? That is 10,704 more than budget and 12,600 more than the same year to date as last year. Yeah, it's a wow. So when I tell you we're busier than we've been pre-COVID with the same number of residents, we're busier than we were pre-COVID with the same number of residents. We are budgeted for 88.63% dining credit use. That means if you have $200 of dining credit, we budgeted that you're going to use 88.63% of that dining credit in the restaurants. Okay? We can have the whole dining credit conversation that it's not real revenue and all of that, but it is part of our traffic. That was based on the use in FY22. So what we basically do is we look at how much of that percentage of dining credit is used the previous year, and we budget that for the next budget year. Right now, we are averaging 91.58% dining credit use. Okay, so that's helping increase that dining credit traffic, or that traffic in the restaurants. Okay, those transactions. And keep in mind, a transaction could be an ice cream cone at the coffee shop, or it could be your family of 13 coming in and putting it on one check. Okay, it's a transaction, it's a receipt. So we are busier than ever. The most common question I get are, where is the staff? Well, our staff in the last 3 years have graduated high school, moved on to other professional careers, continued their college education, or just decided to do something different. That's normal attrition. We've really only seen normal attrition for the last 3 years. The problem is we haven't been able to replace them. So we have half the staff than we've had a year ago. Pre-COVID, we had 175 bodies, then we dropped down to 165, then we dropped down to 133 at the start of this fiscal year. And honestly, I haven't counted up our bodies, but I know it's a little bit less than that. And if you were at the last resident council, Lori Johnson did a great speaking job on kind of the state of HR and some of the things we are doing. I don't want to get too much into that. If you're interested, please ask the question. I'm happy to share what we're doing. The other question I get is that we're not competitive and that we're losing staff to other restaurants. Yes, you're correct. We are losing staff to other restaurants, but we are darn competitive. Our wages have been increased this year. We have hiring incentives. We have shift incentives. We have health benefits that other restaurants don't have. We have better hours. We are not looking to hire that server that's working over at Cooper's Hawk. They can work an 8-hour shift and make a lot more money than they can here at a 4-hour shift or a 5-hour shift. But when you look at our wage averages, our servers are making, on average, over $20 an hour. Our cooks are in the $15, $16, $17, and $18 an hour based on their experience. We are very competitive. We're looking for those college students, those parents at home with kids that they don't want to spend all day at work, working until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. We're looking for those college students, the high schoolers, the stay-at-home mom and dads. Those are the people we're looking for. We're also looking for the general community to change kind of our perception, because one of our challenges is people think we're an old folks home, which technically we are, but we all know that we're really all not that old. And more importantly, we know the food we serve here, our dining program as a whole, is not old folks' food. We have a lot of variety and a lot of different options. I have partnerships with a whole bunch of different schools, and I'm posting on Facebook and social media, trying to get that image out of who we are and what we have to offer, and I can use your help doing that as well. When you're going out to eat at some of these restaurants, talk up John Knox, invite a community friend, be social, bring them in. We've lost the majority of our community, people that dined here on a regular basis pre-COVID, and I think they've forgotten who we are. And honestly, I don't want a lot of community people right now because I'm just worried about serving you. And that's where my focus is. So I really need your help getting the word out there of who we are. I'm also doing a survey. I'm starting a think tank with some other communities, or trying to get that started with other communities in the city. Because one of the things that we failed at in industry is we keep too much to ourselves, and we don't network with other people in industry and share ideas. So I'm trying to break that mold. I'm active in all kinds of different committees and contract committees and that kind of stuff, but I'm trying to start one locally with some other communities and having them fill out a survey. Got my first one back, and I mentioned this at Places Food Group. Lakeview Village, which is over on the Kansas side, they have 494 independent living residents, okay? 494, we have 1026, okay? So you can see the difference, okay? They're about half our size. They have 3 independent living restaurants. One of those restaurants is open from 11 until 1 for lunch, 7 days a week. On Sunday, all 3 are open for lunch from 11 until 1. Those 3 restaurants are open for dinner from 4:30 until 6. They serve the same menu and the same special. That's their dining program. They have a coffee shop that serves coffee and pastries. That's it. And it's open in the afternoon. So one of the things that we've done here as a dining program as a whole, and again, I want to remind you, it's a whole John Knox Village dining program. We have variety. We have opportunity to dine throughout the campus every single day and every week. And let me rephrase that before any upset people. Every week, you have an opportunity to dine throughout the village. We've had to modify our restaurants and close different restaurants a couple days a week. Remember, Courtyard's back open on Thursdays, so it's only closed on Wednesdays now. Coffee shops closed on Saturdays. But for the most part, we've tried to modify and keep all of our restaurants open most of the time throughout the week. And that's what our goal is, because we're not serving one area of the campus. We're serving John Knox Village. And that's what our goal is. For a dining credit, by the way, Lakeview Village has 1 meal a day. They don't have a dollar amount. So if you're going out of town or you're going with your kids and you don't want dinner there, sorry, you lose that value. If you have a cup of soup, it's the same value as if you have a prime rib. That's one of the reasons back in 2009, I had to work really hard to convince Dan that I wanted a dollar amount for the dining credit so that you have that flexibility to use those dollars how you want to use them within reason. And that's why we have a dollar amount credit that's part of your dining program. Okay? That's how that came about. It's a great story. Let me see. That's some general information. The other thing, Fireside, real quick, with Fireside, by a show of hands, If you had to go through some health protocols, that could mean a temperature screen or wear a mask, just by a raise of hands, would you do carryout at Fireside if you had to wear a mask and maybe do some sort of health screening? Okay. This is the plan that we're working on to submit and get approval for, with the caveat and understanding that we still need the staff to be able to do it, but we have a couple ideas on where internally we can maybe shift some things around and be able to do that, hopefully. So that's where we're working with Fireside, is to start with carryout. These changes that we're making are very small and incremental, and we're going to continue with small and incremental change. As we all know and all experienced, it's very easy to back something off and to stop something dead. It's very hard to start something up, and the one thing I want to make sure we do is when we start incrementally back up with getting the dining program where we all want it, that we don't go backwards and have to shut things back down again or to go backwards. So I appreciate all of your patience while we try and figure out what we can do and what we're doing well, so that we can continue to build on that. And that's how we're moving forward with this. Again, your ideas are critical. Had someone email me just this morning while I was working over at Lakeside talking about Place's limited menu. None of the other restaurants have had to go that far because they have 3 line cooks and a kitchen manager that's working back there, and they just can't work 5 days a week, 3 meals a day, trying to manage all of that with those 4 people. So we went to a limited menu to help some of that pressure, and instead of the 5 line cooks that we usually run per shift, we only had 4. We're running with 2 so that we can give people days off and spread it out between breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's why it's a limited menu right now. And it's carry out because we only have 3 servers on this, or 4 servers on the schedule, and one of them's getting ready to move to Colorado for a job opportunity. So we don't have any other restaurants doing limited menu right now. We are open for your ideas on switching that up, and that's what the email was, asking if we can switch up what that limited menu is so we can do some different things and it's not always the same. And I have that email and that conversation started with Places, and I'm confident we'll be able to kind of switch that up a little bit and add some things to the rotation. We take your feedback to heart. And as we all raised our hands in the beginning, we're all frustrated with the situation, and the only way we're going to get out of it and improve and get back to where we want to be is by working together, being patient with each other, being transparent with each other, and sharing those ideas and brainstorming. You all have a lot more experience in business than I do, and it's different experience. And it's important that we are open and we share those ideas. So please, be professional, be kind and courteous, but be thinking, and let's get out of this. That's pretty much what I wanted to review, and I'm going to leave it up to you to kind of ask the questions and get you the information that you want. And we'll start with Lynn Vivaro, and microphones coming for you, Lynn, for the TV people.
Before Lynn, I want a round of applause for Todd. Every time we're at a restaurant, Todd is there. Yeah.
Thank you. I am very fortunate to have a great team, and this still is my best job, and I can say it took about 5 years to get to be my best and favorite job. I've been here for 16. You all are my friends, and I care about you, and just appreciate the opportunity to be your friends and share our stories and love.
And you lead by example, which I think is super, super important, so thank you for that. My question is about Peace Parkway. If no one can get out on this side of the campus on Thursday and Friday, the restaurants are going to be hugely impacted. Have they been informed?
We have been informed. Lakeside Grill is going to be impacted, extremely tough. You'll have to walk there. All the staff is parking in the parking lot over by Meadows in the golf course side of it. So Meadows residents, if you see more cars over there, that's what they are, be about 6 of them. I don't know how it's going to impact. We know that delivery is going to be impacted. We're trying to get an extra delivery driver and figure out another vehicle so that we can figure out how to get those deliveries working on Thursday and Friday. It's going to be a challenge for those 2 days, Lynn, for sure. And again, be prepared. If I were living on Peace Parkway, I'd kind of hunker down and find a good show to stream.
The concern that I'm not sure administration is aware of is that it's not just people who live on Peace Parkway.
It's everyone.
It's everyone on this side of the campus cannot, like Carolyn can't get out on Lilac because she has to get out on Peace Parkway. No one can get out. So that's going to be a huge impact.
Well, and we say no one's going to get out. There's still going to be that fire lane that you can be patient and drive through. But you're right. You know, for progress, everything comes with a little bit of a challenge, and this is going to be a huge challenge for those 2 days. But I'll tell you, the payoff for 2 days and the time that I've had to drive over Peace Parkway and hit those stupid manholes, I mean, 16 years of it. I am thankful that it's getting done. And again, we have to go through 2 years. Please plan ahead and be prepared. Oh, 2 days. 2 days, not 2 years. Whoops.
Can you explain fire lane to us? Will I get to that from the Meadows back parking lot out?
Plan on not driving unless you absolutely have to. What a fire lane is, it's a very small lane that's on the side that you'll be able to go through one way. So it's the guys holding the stop and go signs that are letting 1 or 2 cars go at a time, or
Where?
on Peace Parkway.
On Peace Parkway, okay.
Avoid Peace Parkway.
Yeah, your best bet is to avoid it if all possible. Any food questions?
First, a couple of compliments. You have done a wonderful job of hiring quality serving staff. We don't get to see the people behind the scenes, but from what we do see, at least in my opinion, you've done a great job
Thank
in
you.
a tough market. The other one is, in a heck of an inflationary period, you've managed to hold prices steady. And my compliments there, too. You take enough guff. Take a few compliments, will you?
Well, I appreciate those because I get comments from residents that our prices are too high. And, you know, one of the things that I'm not going to apologize for is I am emphasizing every manager's meeting I have with my team that we are not going to get desperate and just start hiring anybody. We are keeping our standards high. We've made some adjustments with our pre-screening opportunities. Thank you, HR, for letting us have some flexibility, and hopefully we're not scaring some staff off right from the get-go. We're still seeing the ghosting. One of the new restaurants, we've had 6 new restaurants that have opened up in the last 6 months. There's 4 more that are slated to open up over the next 6 months. And what ends up happening when you have that number of restaurants that opening, the small employment pool is called jumpers, and they go from new restaurant to new restaurant because that's where the traffic is. And when a new restaurant opens up, I want you to think about this. When a new restaurant opens up, they hire 30% more staff than what they're going to end up with so that they can get smaller sections, focus on training, and weed out those that they don't want. So not only is it a new restaurant, but they're hiring much more than what they're going to end up with, which is decreasing the opportunity of employment pool. And I'm hoping, now that school started, typically 2 weeks after school starts, we start seeing some more applicants come in. I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing that influx of high schoolers and start weeding off those people that don't want to work that hard in those new restaurants, but are still good quality, that want a good place with good people.
Todd, Jim, you bring up a good question with regard to inflationary pressures, and Todd, could you talk briefly about what's happening in food prices, and then I could talk generally about inflation, because I think that's important.
So we saw salmon 6 months ago. It was, I got to picture it. It was $3.35 a pound. It jumped up to $7.20 a pound. Our bacon slices over at Meadows, the bacon that we're getting, that real thick, good bacon that we were getting, used to cost us 45 cents a slice. It went up to 80 cents a slice. So a lot of food has increased. I went to a conference. I'm on the contracting committee of our group purchasing organization, and I was at a conference last month where all of the food vendors came in and talked to us. We're getting about 94% of what we order. The goal is 98%, and they're contracted to do 98%. But if we order something, we're getting 94% of it. What they're getting is 88% as a whole, and this is the 6th largest food distributors in the country. And they're getting only 88% of what they're ordering from the manufacturer. And those prices have gone up, on average, 30 to 40%.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that inflationary pressures it's a really important topic, because it is one of the #1 issues facing the country today. Todd talked a little bit about, raw food costs and what is happening there. And I have a strong feeling that we have to buffer you as much as we possibly can from that, because we understand people who move into John Knox Village typically on fixed incomes, so forth, Social Security, all of those things we completely understand. But this is the real world, right? And the realities that we face, and a lot of very high inflation in food. The other thing we've talked about, wages. We have increased for a lot of our frontline people, people in the positions that Todd's talking about here in the restaurants, for example. In other areas like certified nursing assistants, public safety. Those wages have increased anywhere from about 15 over the last year, so 12 months, 18 months, anywhere from 15% increases to 50% increases in base pay. So I just read this morning in the Kansas City Business Journal, they were talking about rent increases, and they showed various markets. And so I specifically zeroed in on the Kansas City market for rent in Kansas City from the last 3 years, 2019 to 2022. The average rent increase has been 30%. So that's 10% per year, 30% in the last year or last 3 years for rent increases. So this is the inflation that's happening not only in other parts of the country, but it happening in Kansas City. So we're going to try and buffer residents as much as we can. We've tried to do that. But if Todd doesn't put as much bacon into one of your salads, you know why. I mean, that's there's very few alternatives for us when wages are going up like they're going up, and we feel the pressure. We have to hire people, but how much can we pay them to hire them? And who pays for that? You pay for that, right? So we've got to be together. We've got to stay together as a community. We have to stay thoughtful, reasonable, and we have to kind of work through this and mitigate this as best we can. But inflation is a very real thing. Jim, thanks for bringing it up.
Okay, first of all, just to go along with that, I was at Quick Trip the other day, and they had a sign looking to hire people $20 an hour. So much for the $15. And then my question has to do with more of, sometimes we want to say, okay, we want to get back to what it was like before, but being realistic and being on the Finance Committee, I know a lot of what you just said. Do you have kind of a vision of what you're trying to get towards, say, in the next 6 months or the next year, to give us a sense of this is what we're working for, and maybe it'll be a miracle and in a year and a half we can get back to what we were, but I kind of doubt it for now. So could you expand on a vision, things like the buffet that we're doing at the Meadows at lunch, little things like that?
Sure. So here are the incremental steps that we're working towards. We talked about opening Fireside up for carryout, okay? That's going to be a huge step for us because I know a lot of people really enjoy Fireside. That's not dining in Fireside because to be able to do that requires a lot more CMS, that's the state regulatory stuff. So getting that open for carryout is a high priority in our list. Getting places back to full service, at least some meals, is a huge priority, and getting staff over there. I'll tell you the other critical point that you aren't aware of yet is we need to get people that can run the coffee shop because we don't have any coffee shop staff. Shannon is there, and she just finished her teaching degree, so she's going back to school in a couple of weeks. So we have that. We want to get the daytime staff is the most critical need outside of that. Getting our daytime staff, getting places back open for breakfast. It's a huge thing. So those are kind of the next steps going on. I'd like to say we're going to be able to open back up 7 days a week at these restaurants and full service and all of that. I don't know when that's going to be, Joe. I wish I had a crystal ball. But what we keep focusing on is the next step. And we stopped about a month ago looking backwards. I stopped about 3 months ago looking at other restaurants and saying, oh, it's everyone's problem. I'm tired of hearing that. I don't care about the other people. I care about what's going on here. And we're going to continue working towards where we are today, increasing this program where we want it to be, one step at a time. And that's what our goal is. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Todd. And I think as Todd mentioned, we could have lots of questions, I'm sure, all afternoon, but as he mentioned, the food groups are a good place to get information and to share your thoughts. So let's give him a round of applause.
Everyone has my phone number, 347-2129. My last name's Hollander, just like the country, thollander@jkv.org. Please give me your feedback.
Andrea Smith is the manager of JKV Salon Services, and she will be the speaker at our October 3rd meeting here at 2 o'clock. We hope to see you then. Thank you.